to another episode of the Late Winner Show. I have Jonathan Wilby, who is an avid Real Madrid fan. We're here to talk about the new exciting signing of Eduardo Camavinga. I think it's a great signing that Real Madrid made on deadline day, and we want to talk about him and see what he will actually bring to Real Madrid. Welcome, Jonathan. How you been doing?
I'm good. Excited to be back. It's been a minute, but I'm glad to be here. Yeah, Camavinga's it's a signing that I don't think I was expecting to have this window because it came very last minute. Feels almost like a consolation prize after the Mbappe thing, but I'll take it. I'll take it for sure.
Just before we dive into Camavinga, how have you been? How have you been with Real Madrid season so far?
It's still very early. I think my main concern going into this season is how we're going to be defensively, because last few seasons under Zidane, we had a very solid structure with Varane and Ramos in the center backs, and now we don't have them. We have Nacho and 𝗕𝗲𝗓, who I think were great last season, and they could potentially be good this season. However, I don't see our bench being particularly strong in the defense area. I think we need some more defenders to be comfortable there, because if 𝗕𝗲𝗓 or Nacho or Alaba gets injured, we don't really have much to cover there. That's pretty much the concern. But instead of getting a defender, we went and got a midfielder. So I don't know. I don't know where the heads are at right now in terms of building the team up. But from what I've seen from how we've played, I think we're playing good. We're playing, fast, counterattacking, a little bit of pressing, not a whole lot, obviously, because we have kind of an older team. Mm-hmm. So I think all good signs at the moment. I think it's good. I have very positive feelings about how we've been playing. I hope that we figure out our structure faster, because once the season gets into Champions League knockout stages and all that, we're going to need to be very solid at the back.
Yeah. I think we did a La Liga preview on our channel, and we were I think there were about 4 people on the podcast, and we weren't really impressed with Barcelona or Real Madrid even, and saying that they will probably be occupying the 3rd and the 4th spots in the La Liga. But again, given what I've seen, given what I've seen in the first 3 weeks, I think my prediction is probably going to be wrong.
Yeah, I think Barcelona will definitely struggle. I don't think they'll struggle more than us. Thank God. I think it'll be fun to watch them struggle. I think they won't challenge for the title. I think it's probably between us and Atletico. Sevilla was really good last season. They could have won the title on the last day if some other results had gone their way. I think of Sevilla, but then they also lost, Luuk de Jong. So I don't know. I think it's mostly between us and Atletico once again. Atletico looked very strong, even though they lost Saul, who was a very important piece of their team. But I think Atletico looks strong. I think Madrid's really the only problem right now is our defense. We just need to stop conceding so many stupid goals, because last season we were very good at keeping people out.
Yeah.
Our problem was we weren't scoring enough. But now with Ancelotti's new system, we're getting more players forward. We're spending more time on the ball, so now we have creating more chances. So I think he solved that problem. He just needs to solve the defense.
Yeah, I think, and that probably brings up to the question of Eduardo Camavinga, because I think we briefly mentioned on how the defensive structure is right now at the moment. So we're conceding a lot of goals, but that's what I think Camavinga will bring, because he can play as a central defensive midfielder. He can play as a central midfielder as well. So let's just dive right into it. I think just to give a little bit of the history of what Camavinga is, who Camavinga is. I think Camavinga was signed for a 30 million euro fee plus variables from Stade Rennes in Ligue 1. They agreed on a 31 million euro transfer with add-ons that would bring the total fee about 40 million. And Camavinga actually has signed a contract with the Los Blancos through June 2027. He has been playing as a youth player since 2013 at Rennes, and has established himself as a terrific tackler, capable of playing either as a central midfielder or as a defensive midfielder role, as I just mentioned. Where He was born in a refugee camp in Mikonge, Angola, in 2002. His family moved to France when he was 2. They moved to 𝗕𝗲𝗯, where he grew up, and then he practiced judo a little bit as well, which probably gives me or gives us that the concept of why he is such so stable at football. I think. And then, Camavinga has been part of the Rennes youth system since the age of 11. He signed his first professional contract on the 14th of December in 2018 at the age of 16 years and becoming the youngest ever professional at the club. He made his professional debut for Rennes at a 3-3 Ligue 1 draw at Angers on 6th April, becoming the youngest player to ever play for the Rennes first team at 16 years again. With the match that caught everyone's attention was against PSG on August 18th, 2019. He recorded an assist and was awarded the man of the match as well in a 2-1 win against PSG. He scored his first goal for Rennes in a 1-0 win against Lyon on 15th December of 2019. And again, we can talk about his international achievements as well. And he's obviously, I think he was the youngest player to play in a French national team as well. I think he's scored his first start in a 7-1 win against Ukraine, where he scored his first international goal. Um, that being said, Real Madrid's defense, their midfield is aging. I think Luka Modric is 35, Toni Kroos is 31, Casemiro is 29. That being said, it's not looking very simple for him just to break into that first team. But right now, Modric is injured, but Kroos is injured. What do you think in terms of, like, is this the future prospect for Real Madrid, and you see him dominating for the next 10 to 12 years at Real Madrid?
I think that's exactly what he is. I think it's us planning towards the future. I think I see him more taking on the Kroos role, the Toni Kroos role in midfield, because I think Valverde, who I absolutely love, I think 𝗕𝗲𝗪𝗃𝗲 Valverde is going to take over that Modric role where he's pressing, he's tackling, but he's also progressing the ball forward up the field. I think we'll probably see Camavinga playing a little deeper, making those long passes, kind of controlling possession the way Toni Kroos does. I don't think he's that. From what I've seen of him, I don't think he's that solid defensively. I think he can probably shield the ball a little bit and make him press a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be tracking back and tackling a whole lot. If you see his numbers in Ligue 1, I think most of what he was doing in that team is kind of playmaking. I don't think he's going to cover for like Casemiro if Casemiro gets injured or something like that. Which is fine. I mean, we still do need backup for Casemiro because we don't have anyone else in that position. But I think for now, I think what he's probably going to do is probably going to be on the bench a lot. I really don't see him starting over anyone. Especially now Isco's been playing really well, and Ancelotti seems to trust Isco a lot. I think Isco will probably get more game time. We'll probably just see Camavinga on the bench for this season, and then next season, I don't know. I don't see Modric or renewing his contract because he just renewed his contract. So we'll probably sell him to some team because Modric is like 35, going on 36 or something. So he's up there in age, and you can see that in the injuries that he's picking up now. His legs aren't what they used to. So I think when Modric goes and Kroos maybe still has a few more years left, Camavinga is definitely one for the future. I don't see him getting that starting spot immediately right off the bat, simply because he's young and he's kind of inexperienced.
Yeah, and as you can see, I pulled up a stat where it's worth mentioning that how much experience Camavinga already has at the first team level for someone at his age. Bukayo Saka is the only one who has more minutes in all of, like, in terms of all teenagers across Europe's top 5 leagues, which shows how much Camavinga has been trusted by his manager. Having played more often in a defensive midfield role in the 2019-2020 season, Camavinga was actually being deployed as a little more up in the pitch, predominantly as a box-to-box midfielder in a 4-1-4-1 system of the experienced Steven Nzonzi, who used to play at Stade Rennes. Although Rennes also utilized a 4-4-2 and a 4-3-3 system as well, actually. And just talking about a little bit about his strengths as well, where do you think his strength lies?
I think honestly, I think because he's young, he still has that energy where he's able to play box to box. But as he gets older and as he settles into his position more, I see him playing deeper. I see him playing as that kind of number 8. I don't see him playing super far upfield, especially because Real Madrid has played 4-3-3 for like years now, for like decades. It's been a long time since we've changed out of that 4-3-3. And usually when you have 3 midfielders, it's usually have the center defensive midfielder who's just shielding the center backs. In this case, Casemiro. It was like Khedira for a little bit, Xabi Alonso for a little bit, but now it's Casemiro. And then you have the 2 midfielders on the side. You have the box to box like Modric, and then you have the more deep playmaker like Kroos. I think he's probably going to take one of those 2 roles. I can see him taking either. But I don't really see him playing as that number 10 the way he sometimes does it at Rennes. If he and he has to kind of understand that if he wants to play attacking, be an attacking midfielder, he's probably not going to be very happy at Madrid. He's probably going to be, because it's either like the James Rodriguez situation or the Mesut Ozil situation, where eventually systems change and those number 10s who just want to be upfield and don't want to defend or do anything else, there's not a whole lot of room for them in the modern football game. So if Camavinga wants to do that, this is not the team for him at all. He needs to learn to play a little deeper, and I think he's capable of doing that. I think he just has to mature his game a little bit, because it's one thing to have a lot of minutes in France, where all the teams are not very low level teams, to be just being completely fair. And it's another thing to be in Spain, where you're playing Atletico Madrid, Sevilla, Real Sociedad, Barcelona, these teams who are you're very high intensity football. It's an entirely different kind of league. So I don't know. I think he has to change his game a little bit if he wants to adapt.
I mean, I kind of disagree with you on that case, because I feel like, as I mentioned like before, even Modric and Kroos are coming to their age where these players will actually are close to retiring. Maybe not Kroos, but Modric definitely is. I think he's turning 36, as we mentioned. What I like about Camavinga is anyways his off the ball and on the ball ability, which obviously has he can probably replace Modric as soon as he is slowly he slowly gets out of the team. Yeah, because I think he can play easily around Kroos, because he's definitely a terrific passer of the ball, even even Camavinga is. But I feel like that's where something can he can excel in that position where Modric actually plays, because we need someone, or Real Madrid needs someone who can take the ball up the pitch and get past the defenders and actually get the goal that Real Madrid.
If you look at his ball progression numbers, and I'm looking at the stats right here, his XG for ball progression is not super high. I don't think he's someone who's gonna carry the ball with him. He probably can take the ball off of an opposition and pass it up to someone. But the thing is, we also have Valverde doing that. Like, Valverde is, to me, in my mind, the natural successor to Modric's position. I can see Valverde covering that. I mean, the good thing about Camavinga is, because he's so young, he can still adapt and to different positions, and he has a lot of versatility. So I can see for now, I think I can see him covering all sorts of positions. When people get injured, Camavinga is going to be just wherever, But maybe even as a forward line, just depending on what the what the injury problem is. But in terms of being in the starting 11, the only spot I see him taking is Toni Kroos, because for me, Valverde has to be in there. Just absolutely has to be in there. So. But I see what you're saying. He does. I mean, he does a little bit of everything. That's why we bought him.
He does. And yeah, again, he's at such a tender age. I think he himself is going to evolve so much. I think what we've seen is just a start from him. I think he's going to evolve into something really, really mature when he gets mature, and then he knows where he needs to play. I think, and he needs a really, really good grooming, which I think Ancelotti will provide him.
Yeah, I think Ancelotti has I don't know. I think Ancelotti has a better track record with some of the older players. Like, if you look at Martin Odegaard, remember when he bought Martin Odegaard and then didn't give him any minutes whatsoever until the very last game. So I don't know. Ancelotti, I feel like, prefers to play older players who have more experience. You look at when he brought Allen to Everton. Allen's a very old player, and instead of trusting the younger, he brought in Allen. He also brings James Rodriguez, who's not a young guy anymore. If you look at the way he plays his teams, he prefers the more experienced, older players. So I don't know if Camavinga is even going to get that much game time with Ancelotti. He'll learn a lot, but for sure.
Yeah.
But I think he'll learn more from the other players in the dressing room than he will from Ancelotti.
I think he's gonna get more time. I think Real Madrid are returning to the Santiago Bernabéu this weekend against Celta Vigo, and I think I can see him being in the starting lineup, because I think obviously
Really?
Modric. I think Kroos is obviously injured. I think Modric is also injured, but I think Ancelotti mentioned that he might come into the action. But again, they have a Champions League game again coming up against Inter Milan on the in the midweek. So I'm not sure if he needs Modric for that game. But just coming back to Camavinga, I think let's just start with his ability on the ball. And I've already pulled up the stats. He plays with a lot of maturity, well beyond his years, and is regularly the player to dictate Rennes' speed of play and build attacks as well. Obviously, that's something that is not going to be his thing to do at Real Madrid. Probably that's something that Kroos and Modric, once they come back fully fit, I think those are the ones who are going to be dictating the play in the midfield for Real Madrid. I think his youthful energy that allows him to cover a wide area, that's something that Real Madrid are definitely missing at the moment, because obviously these players are getting old and they cannot run for the 90 minutes that we just talked about. There's a great stat about him, and for stats bomb data, via FB Pref. So thank you for the stat. His 2.6 attempted dribbles per 90 minutes placed him in the top 15% of for Ligue 1's central midfielders. In that regard, I think the Smarter Scouts algorithm shows him to be a similar style to Tottenham Hotspur's Tanguy and Ndombele. He's a different in stature, but very similar in the ability to commit opponents in the midfield and also open up the gaps for the teammates to run elsewhere on the pitch. I think the most impressive thing that is difficult for the opposition players to know that is to what Camavinga will do off the ball, when he has the ball, as I mentioned. Do you actually challenge him, or because if you challenge him, he'll just pass, he'll just move, he'll just go around you, and if you get too tight around him, he has the skill to beat you 1v1. What do you think in terms of that? Like, what does he
Well,
has to offer when he's off the ball?
he's a very clever player, and he's got good dribbling. I think, but the thing is, and again, it goes back to that the players, the quality of players in the French league, they're just not. I mean, it's one thing to dribble past players in Ligue 1. It's one thing to try to do that same dribbling move against someone like Busquets, who's very calm, very good on the ball, who's or against someone like I'm trying to think of Koke or someone from Atletico who is very very stable defensively. It's very hard to dribble past that team. I don't know. I don't see him. I think we have to be patient with him. You have to give him that adjustment period. I think honestly, it'd be foolish to start him this weekend. I think it'd be way too soon. I don't think he's even had maybe only a few weeks of training with the team. So it'd be weird for him to be starting 11. It'd be very bold, especially because in the last game against Real Betis, we had Isco, Casemiro, and Valverde in the midfield. I think we'll probably keep those same three. He'll definitely be on the bench. And again, because Isco, the things you're describing are what Isco already does. The dribbling past players, moving the ball upfield, passing to the forwards, linking the play, the midfield and the forward line, creating chances. That's what Isco's doing right now, and he's doing it pretty well. I think maybe Camavinga can do it better in a few years. So I don't see him taking Isco's spot at the moment. The one thing he does have over Isco is that he does do more defensive work than Isco. Isco does not do any defensive work.
Exactly. I think that's something that is coming on to, because I feel Isco's probably going to be the one who's going to move up the pitch, probably play as a number 10 as well. Right now, I feel like, I'm just thinking about the future prospect and what Camavinga will actually bring to Madrid. And because these players up in the midfield are obviously in their 30s and some of them are in the later 30s, he's going to learn so much from these players. And I think by the time these players come towards the end of their career, I think he'll already be ready to become a proper Real Madrid player. And as I've already showed up the stats on this on the screen, I think he's a strong in the he's a very good dribbler, and a strong in the challenge as well. You'd see the tackling rating is about 93, dribbling is about 76, set play headers is 87. So he has the physicality and has the height as well to get to those positions, get those headers done, win those aerial duels, which obviously Madrid want. And at the moment, I feel like, again, because we don't have like a Real Madrid don't have like a lot of pacey players, he can go back and he can go and track back once if something happens, in the middle of the pitch, if any pass goes wrong or anything, he can go back and actually track back and actually stop the opponent's attack.
Yeah, that's exactly what gives him the edge over someone like Isco, is that he's willing to do that defensive work, and he has the young legs that are able to do it. With Isco, if you have Isco on your team, that area of the pitch is not going to be covered defensively super well. So that he does have that edge. I don't know. I still have my doubts because Madrid is not the type of team that gives youngsters a whole lot of chances. If you don't hit it well off immediately, you get kind of sidelined, and then eventually you end up with a situation like Luka Jovic, again Martin Odegaard, 𝗕𝗲𝗪 Reguilón, these players who and I love Reguilón. I think Odegaard and Jovic are okay, but if you it's really hard to take a starting spot in that Madrid 11 that hasn't changed for a long time. The center backs just now changed because people left, but the midfield, those midfield three have been the same midfield three since 2014. It's been a long time. So it's hard.
Exactly.
It's hard for anyone to go in there and take that spot.
Exactly. I think that does it for us. I think there's a great discussion on Camavinga, who's a future prospect for Real Madrid, and what will he bring. I hope we were able to explain and get our thoughts properly into this podcast. I'll again thank you, Jonathan, for joining us on the podcast. Before we actually close out, I would appreciate if everyone watching this video give us a like. It definitely helps out with the algorithms, and like, share, and subscribe to our channel as well on YouTube. Go follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well for any major updates that have been happening to the podcast, or any transfer news or any kind of football news that you need. Lots of new content coming up in the future as well, so do stay tuned for that. Thank you, Jonathan, again, for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.